on FM, and the program right now is Sites and Services, your one program dedicated to everything concerning real estate. Well, anything under the sun that we call real estate, property development, realty, we cover it here on this program. And of course, my name is Buchi, and today we have a very interesting topic for you to cover. Now, last week we had some guests in the studio, and we also talked about your property. We talked about your mortgage, how to improve on your property, in the sense that the most important thing when it comes to your property is location. Something that's always mentioned in the property market. Now, this week we're also going to keep on with that theme towards improving your business as a landowner, as a interested person or interested party in owning property and maybe even rentable property, being a landlord to rent out your property. Today, I just want to take a quick topic on how to make your property more attractive to reliable tenants. Like we always say, a good tenant is a tenant who pays his bills on time. Prompt and on time. Those are the kind of tenants that landlords are looking for. Now, as a landlord, to attract those kind of tenants to your property, to your, whether it's a property you want to rent out for business or somewhere you want to rent out towards living environment, there's a way you can improve your property. Just simple tips and tricks towards finding that reliable tenant. Now, the truth is, when it comes to a topic like this, finding the reliable tenant is half the battle in the property ownership market. Now, a reliable tenant will be able to pay your rent on time, will likely even stay longer in your property, and also there's a low likelihood of causing damage to your property or disturbing your other tenants. A good tenant, therefore, makes your rental property more profitable. It will also while also at the same time causing you less stress in the long term. Now, how do you attract that kind of a tenant? How do you bring them towards you, towards improving your business and also filling up your rented property on time? Now, before we take this any further, I want to let you know that this program is open to advertisers, is open to you out there. If you are within the property market and maybe you're looking for an outlet, a business outlet to let people know about your lucrative piece of property, whether for business space, whether for rental space, for living, for residentials, you can actually come and do that here. All you need to do is come down to the station here, book your time, and actually have your chance. This is a platform, this is a forum for you to reach out to the masses, to the general public out there about your unique piece of property and your unique business opportunity. Because here on Sites and Services, we don't just educate you, we also promote your business here. You can contact us here. You can actually even follow this program live on our social media pages, whether it's Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook. We are out there. Just type in Human Rights Radio 101.1 FM and share, subscribe. You can check out all our contacts, all our programs we air and we stream live. You can also go back if there's something you've heard earlier in the day, a program that you missed and you want to catch up. Fear not, you can actually go back on our social media pages and rewatch some of those programmings that you've heard earlier, or even a day, 2 days. It doesn't matter how long it was, as long as it's out there, we put it out there for you. Now, to the topic at hand. Now, when it comes to making your property more attractive for reliable tenants, you see, tenant screening is usually a process landlords use to recruit the best tenants for their units, for their pieces of property. And through it, you are able to filter out candidates as a landlord. You're able to filter out potential tenants and candidates with reasonable or questionable histories, maybe even bad credit, or even some sort of red flag that makes them liable to cause you problems or issues within your property. But the thing is, for screening tenants, for you to get to that point where you can screen tenants, there has to be some sort of application on ground. There has to be some sort of list on ground. And how do you get that list is by finding the best candidates. How do you find the best candidates or the best tenants? Is by making your property more attractive, making it more something that is desirable enough for a tenant to want to live there, or for a business to want to start up there. So, what can you do to make your property more attractive to a higher quality of applicants? In the first place, that's the first question you should be asking. A good idea or a good tip for you is, one, to pick a good neighborhood. Now, this may not be helpful for you if you already have a property on ground, but if you're just getting started and you're trying to add a new property to your portfolio, or you're looking for that that business outlet when it comes towards landlord and tenancy agreements. Now, it's a good idea to keep in mind that you invest in a property that is in an area with, of course, a low crime rate, of course, good property value, of course, probably good schools, access to amenities like hospitals and such, even water, light. These are things to consider. Road networks, proximity to the market, to shops. These are things to consider. You see, if you can, if you can also, you can get to know your neighbors and see if the average tenant would get along with the people living within that area, within that neighborhood. You see, this kind of property, this kind of land, don't get me wrong, it may cost you a bit more money up front, but there's a likelihood that this place, a place like this, an area like this, will attract a certain kind of tenant, will attract a reliable kind of tenant, and then in the long run, you will make your money back in of course renting out said property. So it's always good, it's always a good investment. So you shouldn't be shy or scared of how much it's actually going to cost. If it sounds sometimes the amount might be too big, you might see it as something that you're not going to be able to meet up with, but in the long run it serves as a good investment. Now, second part is setting the right rent price. Now, setting a rent price is rarely a straightforward thing, as we all know, but it's very important and valuable to consider if you want to attract the right type of tenants for your property. Now, one of the easiest ways to set the rent price is to see what other landlords in that area, are charging, and maybe even just following suit, mimicking them. Now, adding and subtracting to that value for compensation sake is up to you. It's entirely up to you. That difference in your property, of course, maybe if your property has something that the other neighbors or the other landlords do not have, you might consider adding to it towards offsetting your costs. Or maybe if your property doesn't actually have or offer some of the same amenities that these same properties and landlords, other tenant buildings have, then you might also think of scaling your rent down a bit to attract that tenant. But, however, you can set your prices lower. This will, of course, will increase the number of applicants or potential tenants that you're going to get, and also could actually fill up your property faster, most definitely. But the disadvantage of doing something like this is that this will attract tenants that may have less income, or even are probably even less reliable, or even a less reliable sense or source of income. Excuse me. Because the truth is, you'll be getting more applicants. That's true, but the trade-off to this deal is that you'll be getting a low quality of tenants. You might even end up with some tenancy issues. But instead, why not consider this? It may be wiser for you to actually increase the rent price. Hear me out. It might sound ridiculous, but hear me out. You see, just even slightly, I'm not saying by a ridiculous margin that may not even attract people to it, but increasing your rent price just a bit slightly based on your neighborhood and what the current value is. This is the reason why you should consider this. You see, it may take you longer to fill up your vacancy or to fill up your property, but the truth is you're going to attract a better set of candidates. Now, psychologically, we're told, or psychologically, we understand that people place more value on more expensive things. So the truth is, you having that expense difference, just a little, just slightly a bit average or a little bit higher, that could even end up being the clinching factor, or the thing that attracts that certain quality of reliable tenant to your place. Of course, we all put value in things that seem to cost more. It's just a psychological tip and a psychological fact. Now, the third thing is to offer extra perks. What do I mean by this? You see, you may not be able to completely remodel your house, but you can offer some extra incentives, some extra perks for your tenants to, of course, sweeten the deal or sweeten the pot. For example, you could maybe, depending on the kind of property you have, you could maybe install a washing machine in your apartment, or even ACs inside your apartment towards the convenience of your tenants. Towards the convenience of your tenants in terms of washing, and also in terms of luxury. You could also offer, if depending on how magnanimous you are, you could offer some sort of internet servicing, maybe some sort of security, maybe even some sort of cleanup agencies, things like that, towards that help improve the quality of your property. This will also in turn will also add towards the luxury towards your apartment. These kind of small perks, these kind of small tips and tricks are good tiebreakers, they're good deal breakers between competing units, between you and a competing landlord within that area. These are things that could be considered, and this is also which could attract a better standard or quality of tenant for your apartment. Just offering those little things, the little perks is sort of like buy one and you get half off or something like that on a shopping deal. But in these kind of issues, especially when it comes to property market, it's the little things. Like they say, the devil is in the details. Now, another good idea for you is also to be nice. Be kind, be courteous. I mean, this is a very simple tip, but it's also a very obvious one. Now, and also very, very important. You see, as a landlord, you're going to be communicating with new applicants. And of course, their impression of you could also affect whether or not they want to move forward with renting your place or not. You see, if you're a bit difficult, if you're brash, if you're intolerable towards these people, or even just a bit rude or insensitive to these kind of tenants, it can drive them away. It doesn't matter how good your apartment is. It doesn't matter how much perks you've attached to it. It doesn't matter the kind of location you have. If you're a landlord with a nasty attitude or a bad character, you are more likely to dissuade anybody from renting your property or even going forward with it. You see, tenants, of course, with the intention of staying long term, may just prefer to find somewhere or someone, not even just somewhere, someone who's a bit friendlier and more communicative. These are the things that attract tenants. Your own demeanor, your own character. So, the thing is, you don't need to be your tenant's best friend. Don't get me wrong in this, sir, but you should be able to offer some sort of easy communication, probably flexible understanding, even a smile, a greeting. These are the things that go a long way. It's just like you go into a shop to buy things from the shop. If the clerk or the clerk at the front desk is rude to you, or even going to the bank, if the cashier or the clerk is rude to you, there's a less likely chance that you would even want to patronize said person or even the banking institution or that shop. But courtesy goes a long way. Courtesy goes a long way. So be friendly, be nice in that regard. Another good tip for you is to work on your kitchen and bathroom. Many people don't understand this, but to be honest, the kitchen and bathroom are two of the most important rooms of your property. So, if you can afford to make upgrades, if you can afford to, then make them. Especially in these two rooms. The difference between an old and new bathtub, or the difference between an old and new countertop in your kitchen, can make a huge and significant difference in the eyes of a stable or even choosy tenant. I cannot express how important it is to have. Have you ever had this situation? You entered into a house and you entered the bathroom and the bathroom was immaculate and the kitchen was superb. These are the things that attract tenants, especially tenants with maybe families or picky tenants, choosy tenants. A clean bathroom, a good looking bathroom or a good looking kitchen can seal the deal, because these places psychologically we tend to we tend to focus on our hygiene. We tend to look, these are the places, the engine room or the hub of hygiene. And if these places are not clean and are kept, are dirty, they're not attractive, there's a high probability that you're not going to be able to attract a good tenant. So you'll be able to charge more for your rent if these things are up to date. If they're up to date, if they're to the task, you can charge your tenants a little more. You can increase the value. These things also increase the value of your own property at the same time. So kitchen and bathroom remodeling can be expensive. Don't get me wrong. They can be expensive, but in the long run, they're able to provide you with a positive and reliable tenants that will be willing to pay or go the extra mile for you. So these are just a few things. These are just a few tips for you, especially when it comes to your property. Kitchen work, bathroom work. If it's a possibility, in fact, keep that on your priority list. This is a little trick for you landlords out there. Now, the next point I call it focusing on your curb appeal. What do I mean by this? You want to improve on the outside of your house. You want to improve on it. Of course, it's just like makeup. A woman wearing makeup. You improve on the outside, your looks. Looks matter a lot, especially when it comes to the property market. Looks matter a lot. What a property looks like on the outside can sell the property before the person even steps in on the inside. Now, of course, you want to improve that curb appeal and make it a little more appealing. I mean, you don't necessarily need to update every single structure within your property, but at least the outside should look sound, comfortable, and attractive. It will make a better first impression on your potential tenants. So, and also it can also attract a better crowd. You can, if it's to invest in a garden, in plants outside of the house, if it's to fix up, if it's to screed your walls and repaint, put a fresh coat of paint on the outside of the house. If it's a broken light fixture, you can fix it. These are the things that attract a compound. If the place is unkept, you can at least, even if you don't have the money, if it's to put gravel in it or interlocking blocks, something to make the outside attractive. You see, the beauty of a house is what it looks like on the outside, and these are the things these are the things you use to bait in to attract your clients, to attract those people into your house, the tenants that you're looking for towards renting your property. And another key point I must add is advertise thoughtfully. You see, if you know you want to appeal to a certain type of tenant or a certain type of audience, target marketing is key towards them. For example, if you're seeking for families, you can emphasize the proximity of schools. You can talk about how close it is to a school district, or if you're trying to attract professionals, you can mention how easy it is for them to access town, how close the house is towards the main road, or how traffic is towards the house. These are the kind of things that you put in your advertising that helps attract a certain level of tenant. These are the little things. Attraction, these are things that attract these kind of people. If it's a family compound, if it's a family you want, a married couple with maybe children or potential towards children, you can talk about security, proximity to schools, proximity to a hospital. These are the things that matter. Also markets. Like I said, these are things you can use to strategically place in your advertising to attract these certain kind of people towards your property. So, before we leave, let's take a big roundup of all the things we talked about. First and foremost, when it comes to making your property more attractive for a reliable set of tenants, first you have to pick a good neighborhood. That's if you don't have the property already. If you're planning on renting it out or getting somebody in, or maybe you don't have the property, consider the area. If you do have the property, then another key point is setting the right price, the right rent price. This is a very key point because it's the price that tends to attract people. If it's too high, nobody will come. If it's too low, you might just attract a certain level of crowd. But then just setting it just right enough for a tenant to come in to see the value of your property and feel like they're satisfactory. These are the things I can pay for. Third point is, of course, offer extra perks. These are the things. The devil is always in the details. You can sweeten the deal just a little bit. If it's an extra perk, if it's security, if it's cleaning, if it's some sort of anything, maybe a utility, something like that, that tends to attract a certain kind of tenant. Also, being nice, being friendly, being courteous, being accessible. These things also matter. Your character and your attitude towards attracting a good tenant also matters. Another point is to work on your kitchen and bathroom. These are the two very important places or units in your house. Attracting your tenant, these are the things you should focus on. A good kitchen and a good bathroom is a very good deal breaker, is a sweetener for the pot. Focus on your curb appeal. Focus on the structure, the outside, to make it look, to beautify your compound. Flowers, paint, clean up your compound. Let your compound be clean. Let your building look structured. New fresh coat of paint, good light fixtures, flowers in your garden. These are very important things that attract people. And also advertising. Advertise thoughtfully. Target advertising depending on the kind of tenant you want to attract. These are the things. If it's students you're looking for your property, focus on how close it is to the closest institution. If it's a family, talk about things like how close it is to a market, to a school. Talk about the security, safety of the environment. If it's professionals that you're trying to look for, talk about the accessibility it is for them to get into town or to access the highway and go to work. These are a few tips and tricks that you can use to improve the quality of your property. I want to thank my producer, the production team behind this program. I want to thank everybody in the IT department and also the visual department who are streaming us live and making us look this good. Of course, my name remains Buchi, and the next program is coming your way, and it is by our sister. So all our Yoruba brothers and sisters out there, keep your dialogue. Don't go anywhere because Oshe Oje is next. Thank you and have a pleasant afternoon.